In this video, we're going to study Article 1 of Modern Arithmetic 3. As we study this practical arithmetic book that we study in Modern Arithmetic 3 in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, we're simply going to go through one article at a time in each video and walk step by step through the whole course, allowing you to master each point that we study one article at a time as we move on through the whole entire course in modern arithmetic. The text we use is very simple. We give terms and definitions, we learn rules, and then we practice exercises. And we just move one concept at a time from the very simplest ideas all the way up to the most complicated arithmetic problems. So your job as a student is to study these lessons carefully, learn the definitions and terms carefully and perfectly, study the rules, and then practice all the exercises to make sure you understand what's taught and that you can do everything that needs to be done in modern arithmetic. All right? And hopefully, by working through this class, and this class should be pretty easy, you can focus on other more important subjects like sacred scripture and catechism and philosophy and grammar and other courses in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. So let's get started with our first lesson, Article 1 in Modern Arithmetic 3. The very first thing we learn in this course is the definition of a unit. We learn that a unit is a single thing of any kind. A unit is a single thing of any kind, and you should memorize that definition. Some people don't like to memorize, but actually memorizing is the easiest way to learn. And you can test yourself when you memorize. If you don't memorize, it's very difficult to test yourself and know whether you're actually learning or not. So I recommend that when we learn these definitions and rules in modern arithmetic, that you memorize them, because you'll be happy you did later on in our studies. So the first definition, a unit is a single thing of any kind. A unit is a single thing, or one thing of any kind. A unit is a single thing of any kind. And we're given some examples in our book, in our lesson. The first example we're given is 1, the number 1. 1 refers to one thing of any kind. It doesn't tell us what kind of thing we're talking about. It just says 1. But the definition of a unit is a single thing of any kind. So when we just use the number 1, we're speaking of a unit. We're just not stating what the unit is that we're talking about. Another example is 1 apple. 1 apple. And here we do tell the actual unit we're talking about. 1 apple. The apple is the unit. And then another example, $1. $1. Dollar is the unit. A unit is a single thing of any kind. So anything that you can think of that you can call one. 1 stick, 1 rock, 1 ball, 1 penny, $1, 1 tree, 1 person, 1 anything. Anything that you can call one is a unit. A unit is a single thing of any kind. Now, why is that important in arithmetic? The reason why it's important to know what a unit is because when we count how many units there are in a group of things, we can give a number of how many units there are, and that's what number is. Look at our definition. A number consists of one or more units. A number consists of one or more units. So if we ask the question, how many are there? The answer will be a number. We're asking how many units are there? The answer is a number. A number consists of one or more units. Notice that this definition requires you to know what a unit is first. That's why it's important to learn the definitions carefully and memorize them whenever you can, because when we learn the definition of a word in one rule, we're going to use that word in another rule. So when you learn what a unit is, then you can learn what a number is. That's how definitions work, and that's why learning definitions is so important. A number consists of one or more units. Our first example here is, again, the number 1. The number 1, because a number consists of one or more units. So 1 unit is a number, and the number 1 is a number. Next we have the number 5. The number 5 consists of one or more units. Therefore, it's a number. 5 doesn't tell us what the units are. It just tells us that there are 5 units. Next, we learn 7 cents is another example of a number. Here, we have the number and we're told the units. What is the unit? 1 cent. How many are there? 7 cents. 7 is a number. A number consists of one or more units. How many cents are there? 7 cents. 7 is a number. And lastly, 9 men. What's the unit? The unit is 1 man. What's the number? How many are there? 9 men. The unit is 1 man. The number is how many units? There are 9 men. Okay, so now we know the meaning of a unit and we know the meaning of a number. But you can't know the meaning of a number unless you first know the meaning of units. So remember, that's why definitions are important. When we learn one word, it allows us to learn other words because we can use that word to understand other words. All right? So unit and number so far. The third definition we learn in Article 1 is the definition of arithmetic, which is the subject that we're studying in this course. If we say we're studying modern arithmetic, the question is, well, what is arithmetic? And here we have a definition, or at least a description of what arithmetic is. Arithmetic, the study of arithmetic, treats of numbers and is the art of computing by numbers. Arithmetic treats of numbers and is the art of computing by numbers. Again, you can't learn the definition of arithmetic if you don't know what numbers are. We learned what a number is in definition 2. Now that we know what that word means, we can use it in the definition of arithmetic. And when you see this word in this definition, you have to remember the meaning that was given in this first definition. Okay? Arithmetic treats of, or in arithmetic we study numbers, and arithmetic is the art of computing by numbers. This word computing sounds like computer, and we know what a computer is, but what does that have to do with numbers? When computers were first made, they were just like calculators. If you know what a calculator is, you can take a calculator, which is a little machine, and type numbers in it, and you can add things or subtract things or multiply things. You can solve problems in arithmetic using a calculator. This word computing means the same thing as calculating, okay? So arithmetic treats of numbers and is the art of computing or calculating by numbers. That's the meaning of arithmetic. Next, since we're studying numbers, we have to ask, how do we express numbers? How do we talk about numbers? Number 4 here tells us the answer. Numbers are expressed in 2 ways. There's 2 different ways to talk about numbers. First, by words. We can talk about numbers by words, or we can talk about numbers using characters. We already saw up here that we can talk about numbers with words. We see 1, 5, 7, 9. These are words written with letters. We can talk about numbers with words made of letters. But we're also going to learn that we can talk about numbers, we can express numbers with characters. And we'll learn more about that in the next couple of lessons. And I know that you probably know what numbers look like, but remember, we need to make sure that we learn very clear definitions for all of these words and ideas so that we can go on and study more ideas in arithmetic. Okay? So numbers are expressed in 2 ways, by words, as we saw up here, and also by characters, as we're going to be learning in the next few lessons. Number 5, a system of notation. A system of notation is a method of expressing numbers by characters. A system of notation is a method of expressing numbers by characters. So, we know that numbers can be expressed by words and by characters. But at different times, different people have expressed numbers in different ways using different characters. And there are 2 very important ways. Here we learn them in number 6. 2 systems of notation are in use: Arabic notation and Roman notation. So there are 2 important different ways of expressing numbers using characters or symbols. And those 2 ways are Arabic and Roman. So, going back to number 4, numbers are expressed in 2 ways. By words, like we saw here, but also by characters or symbols for numbers. A system of notation is a method of expressing numbers by characters or symbols. And there are different systems of notation because different people expressed numbers in different ways in different places. And 2 examples, the 2 most important examples, are the Arabic system of notation and the Roman system of notation. Okay? Today, we use both of these systems. We use both of these systems. So we have to learn both of these systems because we want to be able to express numbers by words and by characters, but there's 2 different ways to express numbers by characters. We can use the Arabic system or the Roman system. And we use both all the time when we study arithmetic or write numbers. And you'll see that these are very common. You'll see them all the time. You'll see them in your books, in newspapers, on websites. You'll see both Arabic and Roman notation, or Arabic and Roman characters. Okay, so we're going to study both. In the next few lessons, we're going to learn all about Arabic notation. And then after that, we're going to study Roman notation. Okay? So, to review this lesson, this is all in Article 1, our first lesson in Modern Arithmetic 3. We learned that a unit is a single thing of any kind. A single thing of any kind. Anything that you can say, that's one thing. Anything. One book, one pen, one eraser, one car, one bird. Anything, any single thing of any kind is a unit. Once we know a unit, we can then count how many units. And when we count how many units, we have a number. A number consists of one or more units, like 5 units, or 7 cents, or 9 men. So that's the meaning of unit and number. We learned what arithmetic is. Arithmetic is the study of numbers and the art of computing by them. An art is a method of how to do something. So we're going to learn the rules of how to compute using numbers, how to solve problems with numbers. That's the art of arithmetic. We learned that numbers are expressed in 2 different ways, by words, as we learned up here, and by characters or symbols. We learned that there are different systems of notation, different sets of characters or different sets of symbols that are used or that were used by different people at different times, and we still use them today. The 2 systems of notation that are in use today are Arabic and Roman. And lastly, I said that in the next few lessons, we're going to study Arabic notation, and then after that, we're going to study Roman notation. Obviously, we can't learn to solve problems until we learn how to express numbers correctly. So the next few lessons, we're going to make sure we know how to express numbers clearly with words and symbols, and then we're going to get into learning the rules for how to solve problems in arithmetic. So that's all for article number 1 in Modern Arithmetic 3. I hope that that's a helpful introduction to your lesson. You need to spend some time studying to make sure you learn all these things, because as I said, in our next lesson, we're going to take these ideas and build on them and learn more. Okay, so make sure you take time to learn each of these 6 points. The best way to learn it is by memorization, but you need to make sure that when we start our next lesson, you know these things, and when you see these words like unit, number, arithmetic, Arabic, Roman, you need to make sure that you know what those words mean. All right? So that's all for Article 1. I hope that's helpful. God bless your studies.